Hello, everyone. My name is Douglas Bourn. I'm Professor of Education at University College London in the UK, and I'd very like to welcome you to this launch of the publication on education for sustainable development, global citizenship and the Earth, education sustainable futures, global citizenship and the Earth Charter. I want to say a little bit about the context and history of this book, and then I should pass on to my co-editor, Namrata Sharma, is going to introduce the speakers for today. So, just to say a little bit about the context of this book, which is quite a major initiative we all feel of those of us who've been involved in education, sustainable development, and global citizenship, and have been particularly involved in supporting the Earth Charter. So, a number of us have worked together on various themes related to this area for a number of years. But what we found when a number of us came together at the conference of the Academic Network of Global Education and Learning, the Angel Network, which there'll be more about in a moment, at a conference, at their biennial conference in a headquarters of UNESCO in Paris, just over 2 years ago. Mirian Vilela, who's the executive director of Earth Charter International, and who'll be speaking today, and one of the editors, gave an amazing keynote address about the role of the Earth Charter in relationship to the themes of the conference. And that led to a number of us who were there thinking we've got to do something more to promote the value of the Earth Charter in terms of giving perspectives about sustainability, global citizenship, human rights, peace, education. And so this is how this book came about. It came about by just conversations between Miriam, Namrata, who were co-editors and done a lot of work with Earth Charter, and myself. And that led to us identifying a range of authors from all over the world to provide contributions to this book. And one of the things we wanted to make sure was it reflected the range of perspectives from all regions of the world. So as you'll see from today, we have people speaking from all the main continents of the world. And I think that reflects the desire from all of us to see that the Earth Charter has a very important global contribution to the current big debates around sustainability and the future of the planet, and the need for us to have a global outlook, a very important thing in the current political climate at a global level. So that's the whole basis for where this book has come from. And so the whole way in which we're going to talk today is to talk about what the Earth Charter means in terms of as a contribution to these ongoing debates, with some examples of particular initiatives in various countries and regions of the world. So I hope you enjoy the launch of this publication, which has been published by Emerald. And if you want to know more about the book, there'll be further details in the chat facility. And also we'll be saying more about some of the themes in the book as we go along. And thank you also for coming today. And I'll now pass on to Namrata Sharma, who's co-editor of the book, to say a bit more about some of the main themes in the book. Namrata.
Thank you so much, Doug. Welcome, everyone. I will, take your few minutes to just share some of the aims and main themes of this volume, as Doug shared, and then I will move on to introducing, the four speakers for today. So, I'd like to start by reading the book description outlined on the book's website, which I think very succinctly describes the main aims of this volume and all the 22 chapters. So, as mentioned, the Earth Charter is recognized by UNESCO as an instrument to enhance sustainable development, especially the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as the current global action framework. The book Education for Sustainable Futures highlights the immense potential that the recognition and application of the Earth Charter could have for global education efforts. The chapters in this volume amplify voices often marginalized in educational discourse, contributing to a more equitable and values-based approach to education. This book explores the role of education in shaping sustainable futures through the lens of the Earth Charter. This collection includes practical examples, research findings, and theoretical debates that illustrate how the Earth Charter informs educational practices and policy initiatives in several different global contexts, including Latin America, East and South Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So, engaging with the aims of the UN SDGs, this book bridges the gap between policy and practice, offering a comprehensive exploration of the Earth Charter's potential impact on education. So that's, sort of summarizes, the diverse aims of this volume. I would now like to briefly share my screen to show the book's table of contents, just to sort of give you an idea of the diversity, that this volume reflects. There are various sort of sections to this volume. So basically, the contents on their own showcase, the diversity of people and perspectives reflected across the different sections of this volume. And there are 5 sections. I want to acknowledge here, of course, Emerald, the publisher, without whom we could not have met this target. Also, Mr. Stephen Rockefeller, who very kindly wrote a foreword for this book. And most importantly, to all 22, the book chapter authors, without whom this work would not have been possible. So, moving on to the 5 themes, within which the book sections and chapters have been arranged. The first theme is, engages theoretical debates with contributions from a wide range of scholars, showcasing the Earth Charter as an education reference across diverse contexts. Moving on, a major theme of this volume is intersectionality. So, that's the next section. So intersectionality, because the Earth Charter itself is an interdisciplinary document. For those who already know about the Charter, and for those who don't, I hope the book will provide you some new knowledge about this fantastic document. But this particular section on intersectionality brings proposals from peace, human rights, social justice, environment, development, and culture. Moving on to the next section. The third section of this book is Value Creating Education. This particular section brings together chapters around a strong values base, with an emphasis on the ideas of the Japanese educator Daisaku Ikeda, who has been an advocate of the Earth Charter since its inception. The fourth section of this volume is Evidence from Research. And it incorporates examples from a worldwide selection, including from work being done on the Earth Charter in Pakistan, the UK, and across various African countries. And now, just moving on very quickly to the 5th and final section of this book. The final section is From Policy to Practice, demonstrating the visible impact of the Earth Charter and the impact that it has had, this document has had on policy making across formal and non-formal education within universities and NGOs, with global examples from diverse educational contexts. And then, of course, the volume ends with the editor's reflections and suggestions for future research on the Earth Charter and global citizenship for a more sustainable future. So I wanted to just, show this to give you a glimpse of the diverse voices and perspectives that are reflected in this one single volume. So giving you a taste of the material before and hoping that you will very much read this. Now moving on, without further ado, to the 4 speakers lined up for today. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce, the 4 speakers, the book chapter authors, then 4 of the 22 books chapter authors who have very kindly agreed to join us today and share about 5 minutes, of their reflections from their chapter in this volume. So let me start by inviting Dr. Alicia Jiménez. And to briefly introduce her, Dr. Jiménez is Director of Programs at the Earth Charter International Secretariat in Costa Rica. She is involved with the Secretariat's projects on education for sustainable development, facilitating courses, workshops, and research processes. As part of her doctoral research, Dr. Jiménez generated the instruments and methodology of the Earth's Charter School seal. She received a fellowship at Leuphana University, Germany, to work in the area of interdisciplinarity and education for sustainable development. So with that, Alicia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Namrata, and everybody. Good morning from Costa Rica, where I'm speaking today. It's a great pleasure to be here. And I want to start by expressing my gratitude to the editors of this wonderful book for this invitation to write this chapter, and my co-author. I didn't write this alone, Laura Engel, who I believe is here. Hi, Laura, you are here. Laura works at George Washington University in the US, so she's doing fantastic work in the area of GCED and international education. So it was fantastic to have the time to write this article with her. And not only this chapter, but with Laura and Mirian Vilela, we created this 5-week online course that goes along with what we've written in this chapter. So I really appreciate this collaboration with Laura. So about the chapter, it is called Bridging the Gaps with the Earth Charter, so GCED and ESD policies and implementation. So what we wanted with this chapter was to follow the conversation that several authors, including Douglas Bourn, editor of this book, have been they are having regarding the role of education for social change. So global citizenship education and ESD, education for sustainable development, are two or several of those approaches of education to address the current challenges we are facing. So what challenge that we mention in this chapter has been that these approaches are developing sometimes in parallel or in tension between each other. So we've noticed that when information gets to the level of ministries of education, sometimes they see a number of unconnected initiatives and many times don't know what to do with them. So here, what we wanted in this chapter was to emphasize that ESD and GCED, which UNESCO prominently promotes as part of the implementation of SDG 4.7, are enablers to high quality education. And it is strategic to implement them in a synergistic way. And we also bring to the discussion the Earth Charter as a critical resource to more coherently merge global citizenship education and education for sustainable development, which is crucial. We argue that in the chapter to the provision and enhancement of quality education. So we start in this chapter describing essential aspects that define GCED and ESD. Then we try to find some examples of national public education policies associated with the SDG 4 that refer to education for sustainable development and global citizenship education in a connected way. We couldn't find a perfect fit, but we found 3 examples that we really liked: a public policy from Costa Rica, from Germany, and from Kenya. They focus more on ESD, but in these examples, essential notions regarding the values that are promoted in global citizenship education are promoted, are supported, and so we really like that, but not explicitly mentioning GCED, but at least the values were there. So we try to see that how is it now at play in current public policies. We also identify a number of authors and UNESCO policy papers that are arguing for a more concerted implementation between ESD and global citizenship education. So we focus a lot on 2 prominent UNESCO papers that sure everybody here, or most of you know, the report of the International Commission of the Futures of Education, published in 2021, and UNESCO recommendation published in 2023, the revise of the 1974 recommendation, which the name is very long, but refers to education for peace, human rights, international understanding, fundamental freedoms, and they include there global citizenship and sustainable development. So we based a lot our discussion on those documents and many others as well. And so what could be the role of their charter on this? So we reflected a lot on this question and realized that a compelling aspect of their charter, especially valuable for trying to merge or connect better ESD and GCED, is its holistic and integral vision of sustainability, where values and ethical principles proposed there in their charter are not only linked with the environmental dimension that sometimes people connect sustainability with only the environmental dimensions, but in their charter, it expands to include all aspects associated with global citizenship. Also, their charter does not only present theoretical concepts related to sustainability, but it also incorporates foundational values associated with global citizenship, which expanding the sense of a common humanity that includes other beings, recognizing the interdependence of all life on Earth. So I really hope you enjoyed this book. I'm very thrilled to read the other chapters as well. And well, congratulations to the editors and the publishers for an excellent work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alicia. We're very fortunate to have this chapter from yourself and Laura, especially given your extensive work in this on this Earth Charter document and the initiative for so long. So now we move on to the next speaker, Mr. Kartikeya Sarabhai, who is a leading environmental educator and the recipient of the prestigious Padma Shri Award. He is the founder director of the Center for Environment Education in India. He has been closely associated with UNESCO, NCERT, and several national and international bodies in environment, education, and sustainable development. Mr. Sarabhai also chairs the Sabarmati Ashram Preservation and Memorial Trust. He studied at Cambridge and MIT. Kartikeya, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Namrata. And it's wonderful to be here. And from my side also, let me congratulate the publishers and the editors for putting this together. And we're reaching today when we're actually launching the book. I really look forward to actually seeing the hard copy of that, but it's really wonderful. It's interesting that while we write this chapter, which shows how policy goes into practice, and it is that last section, as you mentioned, we are also the actors in that. So it's not only that we are writing about something, but we are writing something while we are steeped in that very process. Now, Alicia at the end was talking about interdependence on life on Earth. And India is very much talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, something from the Upanishad, which talks about Earth is one family. All beings on the Earth is one family. And this ethos has been there. But I want to take you back to 72 for the United Nations first conference, where Indira Gandhi, as perhaps some of you know, was the only prime minister, only head of government from outside Sweden who accepted the invitation. And at that time, she said how removing poverty and preserving the environment are really two sides of the same coin. You can't do one without another. And that conflict, she says, is particularly true when a country like India is developing after being conscious. When you could develop 200 years ago, you could go and do your coal things and have pollution and everything else, and nobody would bother. But today we know these things. So how do you do that? And that brings that conflict, if you like, potential conflict all the time. And that's where values come in. So unless you have a value frame you cannot resolve these crises. What do you do when there is a very rare mineral under the ground where you've just about kept a tiger sanctuary? Do you exploit it? Do you say no, that's out of bounds? You want a railway line through that line? You have different forces acting. You have rapid development to be done in this, and that's when we needed a moral compass. We needed something, and the Earth Charter became such an important document. And I should say that the way it was evolved uh, through primarily Kamala Chowdhury, who was a member of that commission, many of the Indian thoughts, including the thoughts of Gandhi and the Upanishads, have in fact gone into it. So for India, the Earth Charter also resonates with certain belief systems which we have. Uh, Now, where is the policy coming? So the policy government finally has accepted this. We have done a number of Earth Charter events in India, including celebrating 10 years of the Earth Charter. And there's a large exposure to it. But now the policy is that ethics and the environment have to be part of the syllabus. So that's the policy. You said we want sustainable development, we want environment, and we want ethics as a thing. We deal with these subjects through the new curriculum. In grade 9, there is a special chapter on environment and ethics, which we are writing. Right? It will be out. November end is the deadline. It will be out soon. But it is specifically talking about this. And that's where the Earth Charter plays a very key role in guiding students. And I hope all students will get it. We go to grade 10, where we deal with environmental education, and 11 and 12, we deal with education and this. So this is the composition. I would like to recognize here my co-authors, who I think are here. And if you can just turn on your videos, Dr. Preeti Nambiar and Meena, I think they are here. If you can just turn on our videos, you will see you. That's Meena, just wave a bit. And Preeti, I think, is also there. There she is. So the three of us really worked on this, and it was a tough call to do something which is still happening, and you're still writing about it while it's happening. But I should say that since the chapter was written, we are seeing how it is. But the difficulty, it's one thing to say, let's put ethics into the classroom. It's another thing to say, how do you do it? How do you do it at the class? What is the pedagogy? At what age do you do it? So I think that's why I'm glad that we were put into that last section, which in fact does look at that transition, and have found some wonderful examples, some of which we have shared in the chapter. We put in a few examples in the chapter. There are many others which are coming up. We are giving people real life situations to at the beginning of a class, and then asking a discussion in the classroom. And then there's a whole question whether we should give a real example, because the world is changing very rapidly, from one based on ethics and the United Nations and everything, to one which says, let's look after our own country. So in this context, I think it's a wonderful challenge, and this book is coming out at the absolute right time. We look forward to reading all the rest of the chapters, and really in all our networks, seeing that everyone gets a chance to see it. So thank you, Namrata, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kartikeya. Thank you a lot, in fact, to you, Preeti, and to Meena for your co-authored chapter, because CEE, your organization, has been doing long-standing work, with the Earth Charter International, with the Earth Charter document itself. And what is particularly impressive about your chapter and what you shared today is that the values base of the Earth Charter is important, but also the political understandings that this document, the framing of it, and the implementation of it can enhance within classroom practices across formal and non-formal education. So I think the readers will be very excited, to read your chapter. Thank you so much for that once again. Moving on very swiftly, we now will hear from Dr. Mukirae Njihia, who is a teacher educator at Kenyatta University. He is a certified Education for Sustainable Development educator by the Earth Charter Institute. He is currently the Kenyatta University Program Lead for Leadership for Education for Sustainable Development. LEAD ESD is a capacity building program on ESD for policymakers, teacher educators, and TVET educators. This program is collaboratively being implemented by Kenyatta University, UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa, and UNESCO Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Office in 12 Eastern African countries. So with that, Mukirae, please go ahead.
Let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on where you are. Okay, good. Yeah, so let me start by thanking the editors for the great work they have done. Bringing all these different chapters together is not a mean achievement. So I would like to thank them. I would also like to thank the Earth Chapter, especially Mirian and Alicia, for inviting me to contribute to this chapter and for really prodding me that we need to hear this voice from the global south. I would also like to appreciate my co-authors for the chapter, Dr. Damaris Kariuki and Dr. Wilson Mutuma. And I think they are here who are from Kenyatta University. So we are looking at integrating ESD and GCD in higher education curriculum. And we were looking at what is happening at Kenyatta University, Kenya. So we wanted to give a picture of what is happening here so that we could also contribute to the global dialogue that is going on. So this is Kenyatta University in images. On the top left, we have the university main gate. Then on the top right, we have the university library. It's a big facility. And as you can see, Kenyatta University is a green campus. We have ensured that it's a green campus. You can see there's a lot of vegetation. Bottom left, we have got what we call the campanile. Where it's like a museum for the university. If you go there, you have got the history of the university. And as you can see again, the vegetation, we are quite green. And then on the bottom right, those are some of the facilities that we have for teaching and learning. Okay then, so let me start by giving a brief background about our university. Kenyatta University is one of the oldest public universities in Kenya. It's the third oldest, and it has got a strong history in teacher training, having started as a teacher training college in 1965. Then it got elevated to a university college in 1970s, but still specializing on teacher education. And then it eventually became a fully fledged university in 1985. And currently, the university has got about 65,000 students spread across 7 schools. And among these 7 schools, we have got the School of Education and Lifelong Learning, which is the biggest in terms of the student population, because out of the 65,000 students, about 25,000, which is about a third, domiciled in the School of Education and Lifelong Learning, meaning that most of them are training as teacher trainees. So the rationale for the study is that it was informed by the fact that universities have got a big role to play in advancing the Earth Charter sustainability agenda, and also the broader achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And the universities have to do this through their triple mandates, that is research, teaching, and also engaging in community service. And so we felt that we needed to do this study so that we could also give a voice from the global south on this discourse that has been started by the Earth Charter on sustainability and peace. Yeah, so this study or this chapter gives the Kenyan as well as the global south perspectives on education for sustainable development as well as the global citizenship education. And by so doing, then we are making that contribution to the global sustainability discourse. So we conducted a study which was guided by some 3 research questions as given there. One, we wanted to find out what the students and staff understood about education for sustainable development and global citizenship education. Then we also wanted to see the integration of these components in the university curriculum. To what extent are they integrated in the university curriculum? And then we are also interested in establishing what practical ESD and GCED activities are students involved in. And this is informed by the fact that when you're talking about education for sustainable development, we need to move from theory to practice. So with regard to the methodology, we employed a qualitative design And we purposefully choose two groups of students. One group which was in their second year of study, and the other group was in their fourth year of study. And then we also had some key informants from faculty members. And with the students groups, we employed the focus group discussion, and with the faculty members, we used the key informant interviews. So from the study, very briefly, what have we been able to conclude? What we have been able to conclude is that the students reflect a fairly good understanding of the concepts of sustainability, education for sustainable development, and global citizenship education. And that was evident, and the students attributed that to a course unit on environmental education and sustainability that was introduced in the university in 1985, and it is a compulsory unit for all first-year students taking a Bachelor of Education degree, meaning that those students who are training to be teachers, they have to take this course unit, environmental education and sustainability. And so it has been there since 1985, and so it has captured many of these sustainability issues, and it has mention of the Earth Charter and the other principles guiding the sustainability debate. But the limitation is that this course is only available to students from 2 out of the 7 schools. The course, this unit is given only to students in the School of Education and Lifelong Learning and students from the School of Agriculture and Environment, meaning that students from 5 other schools are not getting exposed to this. And so we observe that there is limited integration of education for sustainable development and global citizenship education across a majority of course units in the university. When you look at the other course units that the students are doing, the integration of ESD and GCED is limited, and that is attributable to lack of integration skills by the lecturers. So another observation is that when it comes to teaching education for sustainable development and global citizenship education issues, it was observed that the pedagogical approach that was used was mostly theoretical. And that means that during the teaching, it's more of theory, and students do not get that practical experience. And this was attributed to also how the course is designed. It's a course that is supposed to be done within 1 semester. And within 1 semester, that means those are about 39 hours. And so as a result of that, then there's limited time for practical activities. And then you find that as a result of that now, the students only get exposure to practical activities when they are subscribed to relevant clubs. For example, the environmental club, the Red Cross, the Green Education Hub. That is where now they get maybe to practice to do some practice on these issues. But when they are learning in class, there is no room for practical. And again, the observation is that a majority of the practical activities were skewed towards environmental issues. And that means that the focus is on the ecological pillar of the Earth Charter, and maybe specifically principle number 5, protecting and restoring the integrity of the Earth ecological system. Meaning then that the other pillars of the Earth Charter are not really given emphasis. So that's a good observation that we made. Then from there, from those conclusions that we made, then what lessons do we draw? One is that we need to expose more students to education for sustainable development and global citizenship education, as well as sustainability issues. And like I said, like I observed, this course is only given to students from 2 of the 7 schools. And so our conclusion here, or the lesson we are learning here, is that every student, whether they are doing education, whether they are doing environment, whether they are doing economics, they need this knowledge. And so we are suggesting that it would be good for the university to elevate this course to a university common unit for all students across all disciplines. Then the other lesson we have learned is that there is need to recruit the members of faculty on ESD and GCED. And this will enable them to not only successfully integrate these concepts into their course units, but also to effectively deliver them. They'll be able to change the pedagogical approach. And again, the need for more practical experiential sustainability activities is needed for both students and faculty. And this can only come about if the faculty members are empowered. Then when they are designing their lectures, then they'll be able to integrate aspects that ensure that the learners get that experiential learning. Then another lesson that we have made is that we have drawn is that like we have observed, the focus is mostly on the ecological pillar, but there is need to also sensitize and engage students so that they are able to engage the other pillars of the Earth Charter, and namely the respect and care for the community of life, social and economic justice, democracy, non-violence, and peace. So the focus was more on the ecological pillar, and so they need to at least to strike that balance. But I think that also will come about if we are able to build the capacity of the faculty members so that they are able to broaden the scope of what they are covering. So that's what we are able to observe, but in a very summarized way. And I believe that it will contribute to the global discourse that we are having. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you so much, Mukirae, Damaris, and Wilson for your fantastic chapter. And I think, many of the people listening in today, the attendees, are members of Angel. So they will be, I think, we are particularly interested in your work because it pertains to higher education. Last but not least, our next speaker, our final speaker, is Dr. Tamy Kobashikawa, an Earth Charter educator. Among various research projects, Dr. Kobashikawa has investigated social assistance programs in Brazil and international cooperation in the agriculture field between Mozambique, Brazil, and Japan. Currently, she studies the intersection of value-creating education and human development in environmental education projects in the Amazon. Tamy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's a true privilege to be here today among scholars and educators committed to building a just, sustainable, and peaceful society. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the editors, Professor Douglas Bourn, Dr. Mirian Vilela, and Professor Namrata Sharma for the opportunity to contribute to this important work. A special thank you to Namrata for her invaluable support and the many thoughtful conversations we shared while developing this chapter. Lastly, I'd like to thank the staff of the SOCA Amazon Institute for the interviews and the valuable data to write this chapter. I'm deeply honored to share my brief reflection on this chapter titled The Contributions of the SOCA Amazon Institute to the Earth Charter in the Brazilian Amazon. In this chapter, I introduce the SOCA Amazon Institute. It is an NGO based in the heart of the Brazilian Amazon and examine its approach to building a partnership in a region marked by incredible ecological richness and profound social complexity. I explore how values-based frameworks, particularly the Earth Charter and the SOCA, or value-creating education, serve as essential tools for fostering cooperation among diverse stakeholders, including government agencies, indigenous communities, business, and academic institutions. The Amazon is a region of immense beauty and biodiversity, yet it is also a place of deep contradictions, facing ongoing threats from deforestation, social inequalities, and political instability. In this complex landscape, organizations such as the SOCA Amazon Institute navigates a delicate web of relationships, often in the absence of a shared language, history, or a foundation of trust. So the chapter highlights three key findings. One, the role of ethical frameworks like the Earth Charter and SOCA, or value creating education, as a foundation for establishing partnerships based on shared goals, mutual respect, and a commitment to sustainability. Two, the importance of professional conduct in fostering collaboration within the complex and challenging context of the Brazilian Amazon. And 3, recognition of stakeholders' engagement as a collective effort that values and acknowledges the individual within institutions. I would like to emphasize the central role of ethics in the Institute's work, as shared by the Vice President of the Institute, Mr. Milton Fujiyoshi. Start quote. During critical moments, the Institute always returns to its core principles. As long as these principles remain unwavering, the risk of deviation is minimized. End quote. So to conclude, I believe the experience of the Soc Amazon Institute offers a powerful example of what becomes possible when ethics are not an afterthought, but the foundation of all actions. Their charter reminds us that there is another way forward is possible. And I hope this chapter offers a glimpse of how that vision can take root, even in the depths of the rainforest. Thank you, and I'm also looking forward to reading all books chapters and for more collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tamy. That was brilliant. I mean, and we are particularly, grateful to you because we have, also within this work, voices and work being done, by early career researchers such as Tamy. So it's a fantastic way to showcase new work, coming out, and also your particular work is very relevant in terms of the Earth Charter being used as an institutional policy. So the complications that brings, but also the great benefits. So that concludes, this part of the launch event. I will now hand over to Dr. Mirian Vilela, who is also the co-editor of this volume, and she is from the Earth Charter International and needs no introduction. Mirian, over to you.
Thank you so much, Namrata, and everyone for being here. Warm greetings from Costa Rica, where I am now. And I want to first, of course, express gratitude to Doug Bourn and Namrata Sharma, that in June 2023, we got together in Paris at UNESCO during an angel meeting, a Genie network, and we envisioned this project. So I celebrate this because I want to start by the importance of beautiful minds and hearts coming together, and we have a vision, and then the vision is materialized as it's being materialized here today. So the three of us got together in that June 2023 and thought, well, soon it will be the 25th anniversary of the Earth Charter, and we should see or give voice for people from different parts of the world on the role of the Earth Charter in education. It's been 25 years since the launch, and we envisioned that 2 years ago that we really wanted to launch this book during the 25th anniversary of the Earth Charter, but we were very mindful of bringing voices of people from different regions of the world. So I also want to celebrate that, right? And I also want to recognize the co-author of my chapter contribution to this book, who is here with us today, Sam Crowell. Sam, it has always been a pleasure, a gift to work with you over the years, 20 years or more that we have been collaborating in courses or writing together. And I want to say that for this chapter, I want to thank Sam for coming up with a set of metaphors for our chapter, and mingling their Charter also with the education for the 21st century. So thank you, Sam, for again another collaboration with you. But I also want to acknowledge again the importance of bringing voices from the global South and global North together in this book is an illustration of this. From Argentina, also in the room is Carla Sabatini. From Brazil, we had the voice that you just heard from Tamy, but also from Vaveli, Daniela, and Rosie Nojosa, who in their chapter, they bring some examples of how the Earth Charter have been used in Brazil. So thank you, Daniela is here, Daniela Carvalho. There is also another chapter from a group from Federal University of Ceará, which is in the northeast part of Brazil, Silvia Moraes, Pedro Rogério, who are here with us. Thank you for that contribution. From Puerto Rico, Maria Vilches, who co-wrote an article with Varveli. So again, I just wanted to highlight these 3 places from Latin America, 2 places in Africa, Kenya. We just heard from Mukirae, the chapter he co-authored, the chapter 7, and from Nigeria, Akpezi Ogbuye, Joe, and Vanessa, they collaborated on a chapter on climate change and just transition and the Earth Charter, bringing the voice from, again, Africa and Nigeria. From China, we have a wonderful chapter from Ma Shuang that looks at the traditional Chinese values and the Earth Charter and look at it as foundations for an ecological civilization, which I think is a great contribution. We also already heard from the chapter from Kartikeya from India. There's a chapter from someone who is from the University of Dundee, but also Pakistan, Carlson, which is great to have you here. We had 2 chapters from Japan, I think, Michoa Kagegawa from Soka University, Japan, and Hiroko Tamioka. Again, a gratitude because I saw you here today now, and I know it's very late in Japan time. So again, my appreciation. And from Europe, we had, for instance, the voice from a group from Spain, the University of Alcalá, Ana Garcia and Alejandro, who offered the chapter on teacher competency development, which is quite valuable too. Chapters from the UK, Alexis Stones on peace education, and also the interface voice she's writing from UK, but also based in UCL. Natalia Hanley on the role of empathy in education, also from the UK. And Mostafa Kamal, who is writing from Scotland, Queen's Margaret University, among others. Very grateful for the contribution of the foreword from Stephen Rockefeller. He did read the chapters before the final versions of the chapters. He took a glance on all chapters before he wrote the foreword, and want to thank the support from the book endorsers. One of them I know is here, Chuck Hopkins, who is also a partner in moving forward with all of this. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what you can find in the book from theories and practice. And for me, just my final comment on this, it's been a gift to work with Namrata and Doug on this for the past 2 years and plus, but also a gift to open my eyes to see so much that is being done with their shadow, things that I don't even know, and the voices that I didn't know. So this book project helped me to amplify my own understanding on the reach of their charter through the voices of some projects and people that I didn't even know. So I express my gratitude to each one of you. And now back to you, Namrata.
Thank you so much, Mirian. I think I'll hand it back to Doug. That was brilliant, Mirian. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're really coming to the end of our time this afternoon, of today. It's wherever you are, whatever time of day it might be in various regions of the world. And I'd like to thank you all for participating. I'd like to thank all of the people who have spoken today, or the contributors, and also obviously my co-editors Namrata and Mirian, and also a number of you who contribute to the volume who haven't spoken much today, but I know you're here and you put some really nice things in the chat. Thank you for this. And for us, those of us, who are responsible for this book, a book can sometimes be seen as the end product. For us, we see this book as a staging post in the journey of taking this forward. Okay, so it came out of a conference. We had the dialogue, we've had the book published, and we've had this launch. But I'm aware that there are plans for further events and launches, I think, in various regions of the world as a follow-up to today. I think there's one planned in Portuguese, and I know that one of the things we're very keen to do is how we can see this publication as the start of a debate, and actually to remind ourselves of all the things that we have achieved, and not to get too depressed and negative about what's happening in the world today, but actually to say that we've got a very strong message to say. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming, to thank all of you, and to thank my colleague Kester Muller for having to organise today. And we'll do some follow-up emails to you all about forthcoming events and activities that build on today. And please, let's keep the agenda moving and make sure the Earth Charter not only is another 25 years, but it's actually taken forward much more with max policymakers and practitioners around the world. So thank you all very much. Hope to see you all again soon. Thank you.